We're going to reconvene to open session at 6:03. And there was no action taken in closed session to report. And with that, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Paul Marietti. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And that brings us to our informational items. We'll start with the enrollment report by Rebecca Cooksey, Assistant Superintendent of Innovation and Technology.
Good evening, Board. As of today, we have in our UTK through 8th grade classes 13,320 students. In ECE, we have 586 students for a grand total of 13,906 students. This is an addition of 1,010 students from the same time last year, so that's really good news.
That's fantastic. Great. We're pleased to hear that. Next, any other informational items? Okay. So we'll move on to our presentations. First one is Summer School Update by Jane Deanna, Director of Expanded Learning Opportunities.
Thank you.
Where did they go this year? It's the one.
You need to be filled with you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am very excited to give you a report on our Summer of Fun, our first 9-hour school day program in the summer serving TK through 6 students. We had it at 3 locations, and what we did was we had 7 transportation hubs where we were able to do round-trip transportation to bring students to the Summer of Fun program. So the number of applications, we had approximately 1,500 students, of which almost 1,000 completed the application process. Out of that number, you can see the number of students that participated in the before school program as well as the after school program. And if you look at that, we had almost 75% of the students participating in the 9-hour school day. The transportation number is we had 341 students who started out with transportation, but we are a program where it's based on family need, and some people then opted to do just one way because they wanted to pick up their children. So those numbers did fluctuate, but that's just to give you an idea of where we started. And our average daily attendance, there was a range. It really depended, but our numbers were very good. The schedule, well, when you're running a 9-hour program, you're actually operating a 10-hour day and spilling over into that. So we opened our doors at 7:30, and we wanted students to be picked up by 4:30, but we had that cushion till 5:15. There were a lot of people that were involved in this process of keeping the students safe, certificated and classified, working hand in hand. And I'm very grateful to all of the people that were part of this process. Our work samples. I really am very happy to say that this year we opened up to the lower grade levels, and we had early learning specialists that were working in the TK program. And I really want to draw your attention to that TK sample, because you can see that they used they coded the work. So this work was intentional. It was based on observational data in a play-based environment. And this is the work that they do during the school year, but it was slightly modified for a summer school setting. So I'm really proud of that work. Our ECE staff was amazing, and those early learning specialists were working as teachers with students, and it was amazing. Kindergarten, first grade, all integrated work, so all subjects integrated at the same time. And then here are a list to the left of all of the classes that we offered across all schools, and just a sample of the work product. And you can see that some of these things are different than you would see during the school day, because that's what expanded learning is. Expanded learning is different. And so that first sample was from an Art Explorer class. And the second one was from Arts and Crafts Around the World. Students learned how to weave, and they learned about cultures from around the world. And it was truly amazing. Our food sample, of course, our food class was very in very high demand. And then you can see that I want to draw your picture to the boy talking to the screen. That was an interview. We had teachers who brought in professional athletes where the students could actually ask them questions and learn about them. And then you can see that we had hands-on engineering and building, and actually learning how to write music. So just a sample to show you that the work was not ordinary, it was extraordinary. This time in our summer program, we actually served supper, the first time that we've ever served supper. Working with CNS and Debbie Candelaria was great. We worked together to make sure that our families could have meals that did not need to be heated up, that could be eaten depending on your family situation. So looking at those numbers, very impressive. And again, a token of gratitude to CNS for making those meals look great and taste great. We had the press come out, and Ms. Drake was very excited by what she saw, and she captured, again, our high demand cooking class. We had 8 of these classes running. 3 of them were for junior chef, and the other 5 were for our super chef senior. And it was really amazing to see students using equipment that some of them don't have at home, learning about careers centered around cooking, and actually creating their own food. ELO is about expanding students' minds, and we had providers pushing in to do this work. And you can see by these pictures that it was different. It was different from what they did during the summer school setting to the after school setting. And it was all centered around the California Standards for Expanded Learning. So that was, again, another exciting opportunity for us to provide things that students don't normally get during the school day, with people who are coming in from the community to provide these services. And another thing that I'm happy to say is that we were able to, even there were challenges because of transportation and other things, but we made it happen. We had our junior test pilot that were able to participate in the Flight Test Museum and the Joe Davies Air Park, and that we're able to send a group of students to the Indian Museum. And that's the presentation for Summer of Fun. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Wynn?
Yeah, Jane, this was a fantastic program. The summer, talking to the parents and talking to the people that attended, the students, they had a fantastic time. The chefs, you had 5 senior chefs and 3.
Yes. Eight total cooking classes.
How many students were in each one of those classes? Can you give me kind of an idea?
So our enrollment was 20 to 1 if we with one person, but we always had a second person in there. So we tried to put our classes at 25, 27, and each class fluctuated. So it could range from in attendance from 15 to 25.
Now that it's amazing that the students really wanted to learn about cooking.
Yes.
I think it's great. The other one was the pilot. Did we have a lot of interest in that?
So it's interesting. One of our schools, it was a very high demand. And then in one of the other schools, it wasn't that high of a demand. So it's interesting when you offer ELO programming, you really go in the direction of what your customer, which are our students, what they're looking for. So again, we had classes that we thought people would have interest, and then we went with the ones that the students told us they wanted. So our numbers for that, we had about 20 students in one class and 25 in another. So would have thought a field trip would bring more people out.
Well, I have to hand it to you for putting this together, and to the teachers who took part in this activity. It was well thought out, well put together, and I think the students enjoyed it tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Yeah, great program. We heard great response from students and parents, and it was neat to see all the variety that they could do. And kids loved it. So that was awesome. Thank you so much. And we got recognition from the county also. So great job. Hats off, and you did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have our data report with San Yu, Director of Assessment and Ed Tech.
Good evening. I'm really excited to be here to share preliminary end of the year data for 21-22. Mrs. Groom, this is for you. I need to stress that this is preliminary. It's really important because the state has not applied what they call the accountability rules. And that may change our score. It could be higher or it could be lower. So when that information get released, I hope to come back and share the official score with all of you. Before we begin, I like to remind us things that we need to keep in mind as we are reviewing the end of the year. The first thing is we need to remember the opportunities to learn. What I mean by that is that when you're looking at last year or the year before, when we had distant learning, when we had difficult with connectivity, last year we had students who were doing distant learning or independent study through LAVA. As you know, we have a high population that enroll in LAVA program. And you're going to see later on why I share this information so that you can see how does that impact our academic achievement. Also, we need to look at students who were quarantined, staff who were quarantined. How is that going to impact in terms of if students are not in their seat during that time, how is that going to impact the instruction and also the academic achievement? We also need to look at the testing conditions that may impact the validity and the comparability of the data. Last year, when CalPAT decided to do an upgrade to their system, really had a huge impact on us because we had students who were in the system in PAL school, but they were not in the testing platform. So they had to wait. Some students had to wait at least multiple weeks before we were able to test them. Also, our student in grade 3 to 5, that was their first time taking the Smarter Balance Assessment. As you remember that we did not take the Smarter Balance Assessment in 20 and in 21, we did the local assessment. Also, as we are looking at the data, which we need to look at multiple measures, not just looking at the academics, suspension, or attendance data. Also, when we're looking at data, we need to look at the data using through an equity mindset. Attendance, as we know that there is a strong correlation between attendance and student academic performance. So what I did was I was able to pull 3 years comparison for the last 3 years. So you see the 2019 to 2020, that's the blue, right? You notice that toward the end, that's when we had the school closure. I want you to take a look at the average, attendance average. The numbers on the bottom has to do with instructional weeks. And then we have the distant learning from 2021. So that's the orange. Okay. And now look at 21, 22. That was last year. If you notice that, and Isabel has shared at the last board meeting, that average attendance was around 89%. And the data really reflect that. If you look at the week 23rd and the 24th, that was when we returned back from winter break. We saw that surge, right? So as you can see, we had a lot of students who were out and staff, whether it's quarantine, and you're going to see later on in another slide to see how many of those students had been sent either by us or they had to be quarantined or for some reason they're out. I also provided the unofficial chronic rate. It's around 45%. And remember, when we're talking about chronic rates, we're talking about excuse, unexcused, and unverified absences. So anytime when the students are not in the classroom. Okay, so now let's take a look at the most frequent absent types for 21-22. I'm going to start with the far left. So that's approximately 42,000 days for the whole year. The students had been sent home by us, whether they have been quarantined. So when you're looking at that, out of 180 days, that's approximately, for that particular data, it's about 234 students per day. And then you have the excuse absences. That's over 90,000 days for the whole years. And then you have unexcused and unverified absences. As you can see, when you're looking at that, yes, we have great programs. We had amazing teachers. But if the students are not in their seat to receive instruction, that's going to have a huge impact on what's happening with our students. And as you know, when we had distant learning, there were a lot of challenges. And I think our district and our student, our family, our teachers had done an amazing job to continue to provide rigorous instructions. When we're looking at suspension, we saw a decrease in suspension. However, when we're looking at the ODR, the discipline referrals, we can see by looking at student groups, the total number of ODR was around 17,000 for the whole year. But when you're looking by student groups, you can see that 53% of that ODR was mainly for our African American, 27% are Latinx, 9% are white, and then 14% are SPED population. And you heard me saying earlier that we really need to look at data through equity mindset. We need to challenge. We cannot just continue to accept what's happening. I also want to share this data, and I think it's what we had shared at the beginning of, at the end of last year, in spring. In the fall of 2021, the green chair represents students who are at grade level. So we saw fewer students who are coming in last year in the fall at grade level to do grade level work. We saw more students who are far below, 2 or more below grade level. And COVID did not help us at all, even with all the support that we provided. And again, I don't want us to make excuses, but we need to acknowledge there were challenges, both for our students, our family, and our teachers. Okay, so here's the key finding from spring of 21 iReady. Like I said earlier, we have more students who are not ready to do grade level. Okay, especially for mathematics, grades 1 through 5, because they don't have that foundational skills. And also grade 1, 2, and 3 for reading. And then the student groups that we can see a significant impact were African American students, special education, and English learners. So here's our preliminary data for ELA. So you can see that, as a district, we are met or exceeded at 24%. And remember, this is preliminary. What I mean by preliminary is that these are all the score from all the students who took the test. State has their own accountability rules that's going to apply. There are some students who may not be part of our accountability because they enrolled later, which is, I think it's great, because we should not be held accountable for students who came to us that we did not have any control over what's happening before they came to us. So right now, I'm hoping to get that data around late November, December, when they also going to release the California dashboard. And you can also see the student groups. So I highlighted the student groups that had performed higher than the state average, the district average. But I also want to point out some of our student groups that historically they outperform many of our student group. Our Filipino, you see that they performing at 50%. Our reclassification, when Dr. Goyen and I started this position, we had noticed as a district, our RFEP student, our reclassified student outperformed the state results. But you can see COVID can really hit our student population across the board. So that was for ELA. For math, you see the same thing. For math, we were at approximately 11%. And it's pretty consistent. If you look at ELA with the student group that I had highlighted compared to math, it's pretty consistent. And again, we noticed that COVID had a significant impact on our student across our district. And I'm pretty sure that's not our district, it's across the nation. So what are we going to do about it? So we need to continue to use data to close learning gaps. What I mean by that is really use our data to provide targeted support. We need to ensure that we are teaching grade level standard. Okay, we have to accelerate rather than remediate. We cannot go back and reteach something that I had missed a year worth of instruction. We have to use the data and then from there, provide targeted support. Okay, provide student access to effective grade level tier 1 instruction, focusing on essential skill concepts for that grade. And I think that's why we continue to focus on the essential standards Thank you. High priority standard. And I'm really excited as a district, we will continue to focus on, standard-based instructions. And I know Chris and her team and a lot of folks are working on getting trained on standard-based grading and reporting. I'm glad to see that we as a district focusing on early literacy. So what I want to see, because right now our pyramid is upside down. We have more students that are receiving or 2 or more below grade level. And I need to make this clear. This is why we need to look at two different ways. We need to look at proficiency rate, but we also need to look at growth. We cannot improve proficiency rate if we have so many students who are 2 or more below grade level. We have to move those students to the upper band. When they get to that upper band, boom, we're going to see a quick jump on that proficiency rate. So we need to make sure that every student improve across the board. So I'm glad to see that early literacy, because when we have that, we will have fewer students that needs the most intensive support, 3rd grade and up. We will need to continue to work on our multi-tier system of support, focusing on social emotional, because we know students continue to deal with some of the issues. And also, we need to make sure that we are using our resource in a way that's going to address the need of our student, regardless of their background, so that they can continue to make progress throughout the year. And that's the end of my presentation.
Great job. Any questions? Diane?
Yes. Well, I don't have a question over the data. The data is really what I needed to see. What I would like to see in the future too is if we take that 2nd grader this year, or like a 3rd grader this year, and project where they are in subsequent years. Often we look at that 3rd grade over and over, but that child has moved on to 4th grade. So I kind of like to see the trajectory of our students and their growth, and I think that could be valuable to me.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mrs. Groom. This year would be our baseline that they're going to be using for the California dashboard. Also, the state actually included what they call a multiple year comparison. It's exactly what you're asking in terms of can we focus on those students to make sure that we're talking about the same group of students, right? Because we want to exclude those students who are not part of the original group, and then see how did they improve through over time.
Well, and I think it also shows how well we are serving that child if they can accelerate while they're with us. We know they move around. We know they move around a lot. But it'd be very interesting to see if our methods are accelerating that learning.
And I have to say that, looking at our end of the year of iReady, and we share that information at the last couple board meeting, we saw a decrease in the 2 or more, which is great. And that's what we want to see, because the goal is that those are the students that, of course, we want to make sure that every student move within their band, but those are the students that we want to make sure that the system we put in place, that we're closing the gap.
Yeah. And looking at them too, in terms of all 3rd graders, district wide, and seeing how they're progressing, and is one method in one school working better than another. And if we had any cross data from one district to another here in the Antelope Valley, that would be helpful too.
I will share that information. I know I had to actually email LACO about this particular presentation, because in the past we were not allowed to share preliminary data, but I got an email, and then there was a communication came out later that allowed the district to share information with the board for planning purposes. But in the past, we had to wait until it was released to the public.
Yeah, and that doesn't help us.
At that time, it was too late already.
Yeah, it doesn't help us.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for putting this together so quickly. And yeah, so this year, are they going to set that as the base?
It's the baseline. And then when we're looking at the California dashboard, because you need multiple year in order to get remember there was the change and the color, right? So they're going to use that information for to proxy what it looks like if we were to have change also.
Okay, great. All right, so we're looking forward to that. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have a little recognition.
Thank you.
Dr. Marietti.
Sure. So thank you so much. First, I want to acknowledge Jane and Sam for the great job they did. The summer of fun was definitely a summer of fun. Kids had a great time. I really appreciate that. And the data work is so important and so special. So, and I like that he's passionate about our kids. So we all should be. But tonight, really quick, as far as recognition, the first thing we'd like to
Take it away.
Said, So, institutional knowledge, Lexi. That's what we have. That's what I have. So I wrote this out. Sorry, I got to get my glasses. So I know a lot of people in this room, but I don't know everybody because, man, life moves fast in the 4 years I've been gone. But I'm Kathy Lee, and I had worked in Lancaster School District from 1987 to 2018, and retirement is great. So just to let you know that. But my time here was just so amazing, and I loved every year I worked for our school district. So it's my pleasure to say a few words about my friend of many years, Lexi Conti. And Lexi and I have been colleagues and friends since I started working for Lancaster School District in 1987. I was hired by John Miller that year to teach sixth grade at Joshua Elementary School. For those of you that knew and loved Mr. Miller, you know he was a man that spoke in a straightforward, honest manner and didn't mince words when he spoke. Before school started, I met Mr. Miller on campus, and he gave me a tour and walked me down to my classroom, room 23. He went on to describe the two teachers on either side of me in the most glowing terms. He explained that Lexi Conti was an educational superstar who loved kids and was going to have an amazingly long career and do great things. The teacher on the other side of me, he described a bit differently, but still, I knew I was in the presence of greatness. I went home that day wondering how they could possibly live up to Mr. Miller's words, but I soon found out that he indeed spoke the truth, as both Lexi and John Brodsky were amazing educators. I worked with Lexi in a variety of settings since those early years at Joshua. We were fellow teachers and later colleague administrators, and sometimes he was actually my boss. But he always maintained his core values no matter what position he held. There are stories I could tell you that show the essence of his work, but I would like to share one from those early years when we taught sixth grade at Joshua. In those years, we would meet our students at the start of the day or after recess and lunch at a designated spot on the blacktop, then walk our students into class. On occasion, I might have been a little late to retrieve my students, and someone, a fellow teacher or a supervision aide, would be waiting, but on two separate occasions, my class was gone. The first time I thought, how nice, somebody walked my students in, but they were not waiting in the front of my classroom. I went next door to ask Mr. Conti if he knew where my students were, and he innocently said, "Why, no, Mrs. Lee, I haven't seen them." There was complete silence, and his students sat there like little angels. And then I heard a little snicker because they just couldn't hold it in. And I discovered he had convinced my students to hide under his student's desk and convinced all 60 plus of them not to give the joke away when I came in. That is an amazing feat to do in the little amount of time I was late to my line to get them all convinced to pull off this prank. There was one other time it happened where he just took my girls and his girls and sent them into my classroom, and then he had all the boys, and then he will tell this story delightedly that I didn't even notice, but I did anyway. I relate this story to illustrate the incredible connection that Mr. Conti has with our students. I say has in the present tense because no matter what position Lexi held in the district, he had the ability to have a meaningful, caring connection with students, no matter how brief the interaction. When Lexi started his work in HRS, he often visited campuses as part of his work. In those campus walks, he always made it a point, his mission, to make a positive comment or ask an affirming question or just to start a conversation with students. Students always responded so positively, and later they'd ask me, "Who was that guy?" And then they'd say, "Is he coming back?" Like, hopefully. So, among the many things I could highlight about Lexi, I think it's most important that he kept the most important thing the students the most important. Thank you.
Okay, so I just found out 5 minutes ago it's not a roast, so I'm going to change what I was going to say. I got something here. No, so I wanted to say I was very fortunate 15 years ago when I first started off as an assistant principal to spend a year with Lexi before he was heading off into district office and good stuff. But during that year, I quickly realized two things that I got from Lexi were probably the two most important things, I think. And that is the importance of building relationships with staff, students, parents, families, that relationship piece, and the servant leadership piece. And I saw that directly during that year that I was with him, especially. Lexi has the ability to influence students in a positive way and in a way to get them to do things that many others might not be able to get them to do and to be successful, and to have some of the conversations that he had with students and be able to change their behaviors or help them change their behaviors really for the good. And then, of course, that servant leadership that Lexi has always done with all of his staff and his assistant principals and his students, teaching them how to, or being that servant leader to people. And then since then, as a principal over the last 10 years, I've been able to benefit from Lexi's influence on me. And I think there's never been a time that I haven't had a visit or a phone call from Lexi that he hasn't said, "How are you doing? How's your family doing? And what can I do for you? And how can I help you?" And I just want to let you know, Lexi, how much I've appreciated that over the last 15 plus years that I've known you and been able to have you part of my life. Thank you.
David. Hi, Coleman, President. Principal, Belrose.
Wow, President. Wow, it's quite an honor. Thank you. Hi, Lexi. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. I wrote my words down. There's so many wonderful verbs that could describe Lexi. Like so many, we met Lexi a long time. Mine's a little different. I never had the opportunity to be under his tutelage as a teacher. I never worked side by side with him or under him as an assistant principal. But I knew him. He was someone that everybody looked up to, and one that I looked up to as a young teacher. I remember when he was working at Desert View and the amazing things, Lexi, that you were doing over there. And then he furthered that when he went over to Amargosa Creek. And Lexi is someone who can shift culture quite quickly and amazingly. And he did some amazing things over those times and those years over there. I would say he's got the Midas touch. He really does. He does. He has a way of creating culture, but creating and empowering those that are around him. And so when I met him as a young teacher, he was very supportive. He was very gregarious, very outgoing. I certainly remember Lexi on the basketball courts. Does anybody remember that? He was quite the baller. And he still is. He still is. He balls. He slams. I can tell you this, that I've always seen him as a mentor of mine. He's extremely intelligent. He's extremely hardworking. And he's always finding solutions to problems. As a matter of fact, one of the greatest strengths that he has is pulling that out of you. He doesn't give you the answer. He looks to help you find the answer to things. And I've always appreciated that. When he became the assistant superintendent and then the deputy superintendent, our relationship changed dramatically. He was very engaged in solving solutions, and the conversations that we had quickly went into, again, solving problems. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Lexi, is that you're fair, you're open, and you're honest. And I think it's that honesty that young administrators need to help push us forward that gave me the strength to continue on in this very difficult job. And I needed that because that shaped my career. And I thank you for that. One of the most important things that you know, and it goes without saying, is that Lexi's selfless in his service, 40 years in our district, and especially to our students. If you see him on campus, and he visits campus quite often, if he's going into the classroom, he'll go into the classroom, and he loves going in there and meeting teachers and talking to them and greeting students. But what I love also is when he walks onto the playground, grabs the football, and throws that ball with the kids as well. You know that he loves serving students with a passion. It's something that will never go away. And I wanted to say this, Lexi's one of the hardest working people that I know. And he does it without any accolades. He doesn't ask for them. He's a servant, true and true. He makes us all better. He's made this district quite where it is. I wanted to say one final thing, Lexi, is that out of all those things I said, the most important thing that I take from you is our personal conversations that we have. Many of you might know I have some young daughters. I married late, and I got 3 beautiful daughters at home, and I have a wonderful wife. And Lexi has really helped me understand the nuances and the balance of work and life. Life means family. And as long as you balance both, that's Lexi's words, Todd, you can do both. It's qualitative. I remember that. It stuck with me forever. It will always stick with me. Is that it's the quality of it's the quality of work that you do, but it's the quality of time that you spend with your family that's important too. So I wanted to say, Lexi, thank you for your service, the 40 years of service, and thank you for being a mentor to me, and thank you for being my friend.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, so in the past, whenever I've seen somebody use one of these things to do a speech, it ticked me off. I've just been sent a speech, so now I'm going to do it. Lexi, this is from Kim Porter. Ready? She is very proud that she's been able to work under you, and you're a true example of a servant leader. And it feels good to know that her boss's style matches her style at the job site. She also goes on to say, and those of you who are administrators may have experienced this, that she can't stand role playing and avoids it at every cost. I said, seriously say that? She said, told me to judge the atmosphere and I'm going for it. And then lastly, let me see. She enjoys your openness and candor, and your transparency is part of what gives Lancaster the family feel. And as she can talk to you about anything without feeling judged. So she said that she would have been here, but her husband just got into a car accident. He's okay, but she's here. I would like to, there are 2 more things. Number 1, I think we should all recognize Rhonda Conti in the back. Big round of applause. Thank you for showing up, Rhonda. I hope you're able to keep it a secret. Looks like you probably were because you're getting the finger. And here comes Saul. We got one more thing to do. You want to mic it and I'll hand it.
So 40 years of service, I mean, there's nothing we can give you that will acknowledge, unless I pull a Cadillac out back and give you a case, and I can't do that. It'd be a gift of public wealth. So we have got you this, this is a symbol of your commitment and dedication to the children of Lancaster. It might not seem, it's nice, it might not seem that much, but it means a lot to us, and I hope it means a lot to you.
I just want to say thank you very much, Dr. Marietti. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for the people who spoke. I did not know this was happening tonight. Rhonda was here, and I said, are we talking about Better Tonight? It's a program with CSUB, and I will tell you that God is good, and he has blessed me with the most amazing wife in the world, 2 incredible kids, and friends that are incomparable. And all of that is a result of the 40 years that I've spent in the Lancaster School District, and each day has been a blessing, and I hope the same is true for you. Thank you very much.
So we'd like to take just about a 10-minute break. There's some cupcakes in the back. You're all welcome, and there's some coffee, and hopefully we can get some pictures. I'll pass it back to Mr. TP, though, for that.
Thank you. Oh, no problem. So, yes, everyone mingle, and we'll be meeting back in about 10 minutes. Again, happy birthday, Diane and Lexi. Congratulations. Yes, we as a board appreciate everything you do and have done in the district, and you're a shining star in our district. Yes. Thank you. Okay. That brings us to individual action items. We're going to start with 12A. Approval of School Law Enforcement Services Agreement for School Resource Deputy Program with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
So moved.
Moved by Keith Giles.
I think we have Ms. Cochran was going to just elaborate a little bit on the contract.
Okay.
Get a second.
Do we have a second? A second by Mr. Nguyen. And any discussion? Okay. Ms. Cochran is going to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to highlight some of the duties and responsibilities of our school deputies for the Lancaster School District. I just want to start with they are an invaluable resource to elementary and middle school principals, staff members, students, and families in our community. First and foremost, they really, truly do focus on positive interactions between students on our campuses, whether they're in the front hallways, they are outside during arrival time, dismissal time, they go out to our playgrounds, our quad areas, our cafeterias, and truly positively interact with our children and with our families during arrival and dismissal as well. Additionally, that presence goes on daily. Our resource deputies, they are on campuses throughout the entire shift. They rotate throughout the school sites that each one of them represent, faithfully, dutifully, and of course, they are very responsive when a principal or an office calls upon them for assistance. Additionally, they support our threat assessment process. So whether it's rumor or it seems legit, they are right there on the spot supporting that process and investigating alongside with us. Additionally, our deputies are directly connected with our Catapult emergency response system. As you probably were informed about last week, there were some interesting individuals in the community. Our school deputies received that information. They immediately triggered Catapult, which immediately put schools on a modified lockdown for their safety until those folks were apprehended, and there was no danger to our students, our staff, or our families who happened to be in the offices at that time. So that's just a brief overview of the amazing resource that our deputies provide. There's so much more that we could discuss, but just wanted to highlight a few.
Great.
I have a question. Do you know what came out of the discussions with the Board of Supervisors when they were re-examining these agreements with school districts?
Beyond their approval, I don't have that report yet.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'd like to see it.
Of course, I'll make sure I forward that to you once I have that.
Kim, thank you. I got a email from yourself through Larry, and I just wanted you to know that I've been approached by a number of Lancaster School District parents asking when we are going to spend $682,000, what do we do it? What are we getting for that money? And you sent me a very nice list. And I don't know if you have more that you can add than what you just told us. I mean, I also have talked to the principals of the middle schools, and yes, they don't want to do without the sheriff's school employee, or the sheriff's resource officer. Thank you. So I don't know if you can elaborate a little more on the $682,000.
I can. Predominantly, at our school sites, they're really seen as that positive interaction and influence. I think back to my time at Jack Northrop personally. I think back to my time at New Vista, Paiute, and Amargosa Creek as well. And it's all about building positive relationships with students. They're bringing deputies badges to the children. They're playing basketball with the children out on the basketball courts, really, again, influencing those positive interactions with the children, which then, of course, also spreads into our families of the Lancaster School District as well. In terms of at the school site, we do acknowledge that we have disruptive events that occur sometimes. And it is most wonderful to be able to have that deputy's number in your phone on speed dial and know that no matter where they're at, they're responsive and they are right there on your school site immediately. There are a lot of different examples that I could give you as well in terms of their responsiveness as a school principal, but also as director currently. And that our principals rely on tremendously to reach out to our deputies. It's not always for negative. The majority of those reach outs and those conversations with deputies, with our children and families are positive. There are some times where we need a home visit completed for various reasons, and the deputies are the first ones to say, I'll take care of that for you, and I'll get back to you. And families very much appreciative of the contact when the school's not been able to reach someone, whether it's a student who's been injured, they're ill, or something else going on entirely. Let's see. Anything you want me to expand on specifically?
They also provide some law enforcement.
Oh, absolutely. They provide law enforcement before school, during school, and after school, enforcing the law, the local penal code. Whether we have traffic patterns that are concerning around our school sites, they're right there on the spot to respond to those and to provide support. They also provide support and feedback to our school safety plans, which are available in every single one of our school offices for families and community members to review. The department has a copy of those safety plans on file as well, so that they know the ins and outs of any kind of a dynamic or a potential dangerous situation that could occur at one of our school sites too. Again, the catapult connection is tremendous. When I think about the difference between during the school day and after the school day, it would be very difficult for the sheriff's station to have that access to the catapult emergency response system. Whereas during the school day, those deputies are immediate, right there, responsive. They're communicating with principals, the district safety team, district representatives, right on up to Dr. Marietti's office as well, so that we can follow the chat and see exactly what's going on throughout an incident that could be occurring. That connection is absolutely worth it, in addition to the extra supports and services that they provide. We have had issues of, minor collisions in our parking lots or in the streets that surround our schools. Specifically, I'm thinking of our 3 schools on the corner near Challenger and K2, and they have provided tremendous input to the principals there to help guide and direct traffic patterns, as well as being very responsive when something does happen right there between the 3 schools. And I know that is carried on throughout the school district as well.
You're right. I mean, years ago, we had a student that was killed running across the street.
Yeah.
So those things bother me, and I'm hoping that enforcement, that their opportunity to be there during the evening, or during the afternoon let go, of that from happening again.
Absolutely. And it definitely supports. An additional piece is they're immediately connected with the sheriff's department and also with their desk sergeant. So if they need additional support, they're at the ready and they call for it and they come very, very quickly.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely for fund the police, and I know just their presence is great support for the kids, and it helps alleviate issues just for them being on our campuses, and the fact that they're familiar with our campuses. So if there ever is an emergency, they're the first to respond, and they already know where they need to go and what they need to do. So I think it's a great program. I'm glad we're continuing it, and yeah, glad to see it's being able to continue. Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
Thank you very much. With that, we will call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, next we have item 13AA, individual action item, human resources, approval of child nutrition services supervisor.
Courtney Pinson.
Courtney Pinson, and do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about Courtney. Courtney came to our district in 2006 as a CN worker. She had remained in that position for a couple of years and then served in every position on her way up to the one we're recommending her for today. So she served as a CN3, a cook manager. She's currently the CN lead. Her 16 years of service for the district really speaks to her passion about serving students, particularly in the area of child nutrition services. Excuse me. She holds a bachelor's degree from Purdue University. And she has valiantly served students as her primary mission. And we're really pleased to present her to you tonight and seek your approval for this position.
With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Courtney, thank you so much for being here tonight. Anybody you'd like to introduce to us? Thank you and
Thank you very
congratulations.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have item B, approval of accounting supervisor.
Stephanie Alinas.
Do we have a motion? Moved by Mrs. Grooms.
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you. So we go from one extreme to the other. Stephanie's been with the district for about a year. And she was hired as an account clerk in October of 2021. She holds a bachelor's degree in finance from Cal State University Northridge. Prior to coming to us, she served as a lead teller with Bank of America. And we are pleased to be able to tell her to start telling us what to do. She's really a remarkable person and has a great personality, and we seek your approval of her appointment tonight.
With that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Stephanie, thank you for standing up, and you've got some folks to introduce to us, don't you? Very good. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Congratulations. And thank you to your family and boyfriend for being here. And, you know, if you need me to do that father thing, I know how to do it. So behave yourself, young man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. And we're honored to have both of you serving in these positions. And thank you again very much. Okay, next we're at item 14, addressing the board. Any individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it and any supporting documents to the deputy superintendent. Personal information such as a student, parent, guardian's name, address, phone number, date of birth, email address, or other directory information, as defined in Ed Code Section 49061, may be excluded from the minutes of the meeting by submitting a written request to the superintendent. The board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once that item has been moved, seconded, and is on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per item shall be allowed. Board Bylaws 9322. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda per the Brown Act. And with that, do we have comments from PTA? Okay, CSCA? Okay, thank you. Al? Miss Gina Whipple, TAL President.
I don't need camera. Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to say a few things about the beginning of the school year. The start of the school year is always such an exciting time for us and for our students. But it was especially nice this year after we survived last year. It was really great seeing so many of the district office personnel out on site, not only on my site, Lexi was there, but I heard from other teachers that they really appreciated that, just with helping with anything that needed to be done. And that was very much appreciated. I think it helped us get off to a smooth start. I wanted to talk just for a minute about lava. I'm really hoping that we can get together and get all of that straightened out so that everybody can figure out where they're going to land for this year. I know the teachers are feeling some anxiety around it, of course. And so I'm hoping to hear from you soon about that. Congratulations, Diane and Dwayne, for running unopposed. I know that neither of you got a challenger for your election, so that's a lot of stress that we don't have to go through. So congratulations there. And lastly, Lexi, 40 years. Wow. Congratulations on that. And I hope that you have 40 years of retirement bliss. I hope you do. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have comments from the audience.
And we have a request from Jaylene Davidson.
Hello, board members. Speaking of the board and the elections, I find it interesting that Lancaster School Board is broken down into map sections for those who can run for the board, whereas other school districts in the Antelope Valley don't do that. For Westside, long as you live in Westside, you are allowed to run for the seat. I'm actually really curious to know why Lancaster School Board actually does that. It leaves out a lot of people who would be interested in running, and I don't think that's really fair. But on another note, once again, we open this meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Confusion never comes from God, and I find myself quite confused when it comes to the Pledge Allegiance for the Lancaster School District. We live in America still. For our country, should we not recognize it? Should we not honor the men and women who actually died? What I don't understand is when it comes to the schools in this district, why is it up to the teacher's choice whether the Pledge of Allegiance is said, or the principal's choice of whether the Pledge of Allegiance is said, how often it's said. This is how it began when prayer was taken out of school, and that didn't quite end well. I get everybody's not about prayer. Those who didn't want prayer could have had silence time. But this is still America, and our children should be taught to respect the flag and those who actually died for it and sacrificed for it. So I have a real problem that that's going on within the school district. And it's different with each of your schools. One school, it's up to the teachers. The other school, it's up to the principal. I don't understand. And if I don't understand, what message do you think the kids are getting? Our history is there for a reason. It's so that our kids can learn the history, grow from it, and not repeat it. If you rewrite the history or you take the history out, why are you not doing a disservice to the history? Why are you not doing a disservice to the kids? The other thing is, I didn't think I would be here again this year bringing this up, but before I move on to that, I want to remind you, Abraham Lincoln said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedom, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Here we are again this year, and I'm bringing up Westwind again. One of your schools. Why is it this school in the same district gets to choose not to let the parents walk their kids to their classes, but your other schools did?
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
I believe, is your time up? I believe your time's up.
That's fine. I'm going to leave on a note. I would like it if you would stop dividing your different schools in the district and they all did the same thing. And that would be the right thing.
Could we make a point of clarification to your question about the, I'm sorry, Dr. Marietti?
I will definitely schedule a meeting and explain the legal requirements of the map sections.
And just the quick answer is we were sued as a district and the other districts weren't. That's the quick.
So what she's saying is that we are required by law to section our districts by area. No, many districts in California are required by law to section their trustee areas.
And in our instance, we were sued, and that was the result.
Any other comments?
Yes. Carla Galvan.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I wanted to know if you guys were aware of Westwind not allowing parents on campus on the first day of school when the surrounding schools did. I know this because I called the other surrounding schools myself. I don't understand why this school continues to try to keep parents out of the decisions that should include parents' input. Parents, did you guys forget that before COVID, you guys were able to walk in school campus and take your kids to their line or to their class? I don't understand how you guys keep accepting your parental rights to be violated. These are your children, not the government or the school board. Do you not want normalcy for your kids? Wake up and get involved. Another thing that I want to bring up is the Pledge of Allegiance. I am an involved parent. I don't just drop off my kids and go on about my day and not care what goes on. I want to point out that the reason why I found out is because my kids brought it up to my attention because they always recite the Pledge of Allegiance and their schools are not doing it. Before, Westwind used to do it all the time and now they stopped doing it for some reason. Argosa doesn't do it at all. And other surrounding schools don't do it at all either. And my kids are very proud to be American. My kids respect the flag of this country. I am positive that this country has given you all many opportunities. That's why you're sitting where you're sitting, or else you'd be somewhere else. So why do you guys continue to allow this disrespect? Paul, are you not proud to be an American? Board members, are you guys not proud to be American? I just don't understand. Another thing that I want to mention is if you guys have seen the CDC new COVID guidelines, if you have, you would understand that masking our kids is not a good choice. And you guys still continue to send emails and papers stating that kids should still mask up. Do you guys even do your own research to know that masks have never worked and will never work? You guys need to stop allowing these baseless rules to continue in our schools because that's exactly what they are. You guys need to go back to basics, to teaching these students on how to get far in life. Stop teaching them to be scared. Stop trying to teach them to be victims. Every child has equal opportunity to thrive. Not one is more or less than the other. This separation needs to stop now, not next year, not tomorrow, now. We need change now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next request is from Barbara.
Hello, school board. Thank you for allowing this letter to be read to you tonight. This is Barbara Long writing. I can't be here tonight as I am attending a dear friend's memorial service. I don't want what's on my heart to be lost. Over the last month or so, I've had an opportunity to sit and talk with Superintendent Paul and Administrator of Curriculum, Krista Thompson. I truly appreciate both of these meetings and the time both gave to talking to me. However, I'm still just as frustrated. I'm not going to rehash what we talked about much, but both told me their hands are tied and that this board answers to LA County Health and the California Department of Education, and that you're rule followers. I want to bring it to this board's attention that even though for the time being all the mandates are lifted, Barbara Ferrer was relying on a report written by her daughter, Caitlin Barnes, who is a communication specialist, along with 4 colleagues, about the effectiveness of masks. One, she's not qualified, and it's a total conflict of interest. She never revealed Caitlin was her daughter. Are you aware that LA County was the only one out of the 58 counties in California that was planning on masking their kids again? That is until investigative journalist Jennifer Van Laar blew their cover. Barbara Ferrer has no masking background or no medical background, and neither does her daughter. And had the journalists not exposed this, you guys would have been forcing our kids to mask up again. Because you follow the rules, this is someone whose rules you're following. I'm sorry. It's also revealed she's been involved in a lot of agendas so she can be tapping into the funds in the CARES Act. It's all about the money. Then there's the issue of the curriculum, sex ed and social studies, and how the state dictates what you guys have to teach or you lose funds. One more time, it's about the money. I emailed Paul to request a copy of the resolution so I can get the names of all the places you guys sent the resolution to, but haven't heard from him. I've also reached out to our assemblyman for some help. I'm going to find someone out there to help in this fight for our kids, no matter what I've been told by you. This curriculum is harmful to our kids, both the sex ed and the social studies, and God only knows what else. One last thing. Is there going to be any kind of apology to our kids and school teachers and staff for the hell that they were put through the past year? It turns out we conspiracy theorists were right all along. I have the evidence that we are not making this up, as we have been accused of previously. If you'd like to have any of these reports, I have them right here. Thank you.
And the last speaker is Mark Napolitano.
Good evening, members, and is it Mr. Conti? Congratulations on 4 years. It's an amazing feat. I'd just like to say that we need to acknowledge the fact that it's not C19 that has presented any challenges for the students. The challenges the students have faced was distanced learning and lockdowns. These are the exact things that have hindered and harmed our children. I suggested in a meeting, and I don't know if it's possible, and I forget, it was like 50, you guys got a lot of money for ASSER funds, millions and millions of dollars. Can that money be used for tutoring for the students that have fallen behind? We just had a gentleman come up here and tell us, right, how far behind the students are, okay? So, and I'm a parent as well, and pretty upset about some things. We can't just push failing students onto the next level. The damaging effects these kids will face as they grow up in society will be a direct result of passing failing students. We are here for the children, right? Let's not fail our students. Now, mind you, I just went through a training program myself, and guess what? If I failed, I got held back. I'm a grown-ass man, 36 years old, get held back. Wait till 6 months and go through training again, right? So why are we, and I get it, it's a state thing, but we need somebody that's got a spine and a backbone to stand up and start telling the state, no, we're not going to do this. This is the voice of the parents. You get the governance from your parents, right? Your governing board. The parents are here, they're pissed off, they're upset. We're here time and time again, repeating the same stuff. It gets old. Told you before, we're here, we're willing to fight with you. We need somebody that's not a coward, somebody with a spine that's willing to stand up. Like what you guys did with, I'm brain farting. The things that you sent off to the county and they got shot down, right? Even when the county shoots them down, you say, sorry, this is what we're doing. You know why? Because we're a governing board. And as members of this board, this is what our constituents want us to do. So realistically, I'll go out on a whim and I'll say most everyone has probably already contracted C19. So why don't we use ASSER funds to administer some sort of bulletin or a document that you can mail out, and we could go and discriminate all the kids and all the parents like you did for the unvaccinated staff members and find out who's for it and who's against it. And if there's a bunch of people that don't like, oh, we need masks, and put them all in one school, break it all up. Go ahead and discriminate them like you did your staff for the last 2 or 3 years. That's all I got. Thank you. God bless you all.
Okay. No more comments? All right. That brings us to consent agenda items, superintendent, items 15A to 15F. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Grooms, second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion?
It was like a little from Thought Exchange.
So Thought Exchange is a opportunity to connect and communicate with both our students, our staff, and our community. The idea is that we can push out a link to a question. And whether that's a question to our students on the school site, whether it's a question to our classified or certificated staff, or both all of our staff, whether our parents or community members, they can respond to the question. But then it goes even deeper than that, and allows people to actually rate the responses that are given. So it's better than just a survey because you're really getting people's opinions, people's feelings. It's a chance to give your voice so that we can be able to really understand the needs of our community better. It's all anonymous, so people can speak freely about where they feel the direction of the district is going, and things that we need to address. And it also creates a lot of great data, and it digs really, really deep into that data. So you not only get to know people's answers, but you really get to know their why they feel that way. So it's a great tool that's being utilized throughout the United States for our school districts to really dig deep into connecting with their communities and really sharing in the governance and the collaboration and the direction that we'd like to go.
Will this be for all members of the school district,
So we,
guardians?
so it's all people that we have on file in our student information system that we can connect with.
So questions like Mr. Napolitano just mentioned.
That is something that can absolutely be brought up and allow people to anonymously without, being free to voice their opinions, be able to share their true opinions about. Yeah.
So can they engage a survey, or is this they're included in the survey?
So they are provided an opportunity to engage in a survey, but it's more than a survey. It's asking. So I'll give you an example. Are armed police officer a good thing on school campuses? Now you'll be able to add not only whether you feel it's good or bad, but you'll also be able to respond your feelings. Then people can rate your feelings. So it gives you a deeper understanding, because if I just pulled the data from that, it would say maybe, well, 75% of the people responded that they wanted armed security on campus. But if you dig deeper, you'll realize that it wasn't that they necessarily want armed police officers, it's that they want safe schools. And that's the nuances that sometimes straight surveys don't provide. So it's a way to dig deeper into how people feel and how people think, and allow them to be part of our community.
And you've used this before in other districts. That's why you know about it. Okay. And you find it's helpful with the community.
It's amazing how you're able to gather great data and great information about your community.
Well, that's how you institute change. If everybody wants something, and you can find out that from the thought exchange, I guess it is.
Right. And we can see where we're making impactful actions with our community.
Okay. Thank you.
So is this private information for us to use?
This is our information. Yes.
This is our information. So we're not going to see it on the headlines of the paper tomorrow.
Absolutely not. This is for us to gather and to really become partners with our community.
Is it an exchange back and forth between people under the comment, or is it just a rating?
It's an exchange of ideas. You're not going to be going back and forth, but it's going to allow people to respond. So you'll be able to see all the various responses that were provided, and then you'll be able to rate those responses. So it's going to give you ratings and responses. It's all for us, and it gives a lot of really good, rich data for us to make for decision-making purposes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make sure the board is included in the results, or the opportunity to view that.
You'll even get a link so you can participate.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motions carry 4-0. Next, we have item 16, consent agenda items business, item 16A, 16B. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles. Second by Mrs. Nguyen. Mrs. Grooms. Excuse me. Mrs. Grooms. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motions carry 4-0. Okay, item 17, consent agenda items, educational services, items 17A to 17G. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Nguyen, second by Mrs. Grooms. Any discussion?
I did have a question on Wonder Grove. Go ahead, Bart.
Does this work? I don't know. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great.
On the Wonder Grove. So we actually, you may recall a few years before COVID when we did the animation celebration at Christmas time, where we had all the students who were participating create the animations that we presented. And so this is to continue that work. We've been doing it in pockets throughout the district at select sites where we had teachers who wanted to keep working even through COVID with the program of Storymaker. And so the creators of Storymaker created a Storymaker Lite version where the visiting artists could come virtually or in person and work with our teachers at the sites to create lessons that the students would to develop the entire writing process and then take their writing into an animated piece, record the voices and so forth. And then the animators back at the studios would create the actual animation that the students directed and send it back to the kids. So that was the version of the Storymaker piece that we were doing during COVID that we'd like to continue on, in addition to those who wanted to do that after school. In terms of the Wonder Grove we've had all along the way as well, because that's where we were serving our PK through third grade students with the social emotional animated lessons. They're all 2 to 3 minutes. They're all on social skills, things that you'd want students to know coming back into school, like how to share, get along with others, participate in the school playground when there's trouble and how students should do that. So they show that teachers can use those animations in addition to the social emotional lessons that are created as well with their students to be a springboard for conversation or for the lesson they want to do. We found that was very successful for our primary, that they would just be able to use those quick animations, so that we took those and our counselor folks put those into our social emotional learning scope and sequence for the year. So it's all lined up each week on which lessons they can pull from. And it's all easy, accessible for the students and the teachers through our ClassLink program. In addition, because that piece was successful, they also allowed us to use their habits of mind. So they've taken the 16 habits of mind for students and created short animations for those that communicate the thinking behind habits of mind for our 4th through 6th grade students. So we have access to that as well. So it's been a real value added over the years to help support social emotional pieces in the classrooms, the social character building, and all those pieces that we know are important as much as the academics for our students. So this would cover for both of those programs.
And is this available to all the schools or just?
Yes. In fact, another thing they did last year is they gave us a password username so the families could access it at home. So upon approval, we'll send that out as well. So all families in our elementaries can access the Wonder Grove products, the habits of mind, and the social skill piece as well from home.
And is the Storymaker, the light version, is that less expensive also?
It is less expensive because we don't have as many artists coming into the schools as we did before COVID when they were working with all the students, plus all the equipment we had to have to make that work. So this is a much more streamlined way of doing it.
Great. Yeah, I know it's a fantastic program. The kids really got a lot out of it. Yeah.
How does this affect the time teachers have day?
So for the Wonder Grove, good question. Yeah. So for the Wonder Grove, that's what's so appealing. It's only a 2 to 3 minute animated video that they can show before they teach the lesson, or they can use it for transitions when the kids come back from recess to get them settled down to get involved in that video right away. In terms of the Storymaker Lite, those are typically where we've seen it done over the last couple of years has been in our middle schools. So the middle school teachers, and I have about 4 testimonials where they worked with the company to talk about how they did that. I'm happy to share with the board if you'd like to see those. I think it'd give you a better feel for how the teachers used them in the classroom because they integrated it into the writing they had the students doing. So I'm happy to share those out after the board meeting tonight with you to see.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see we're still using that program because, yeah, it was really impressive. So good to see.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motions carry 4-0. Okay, next we have items 18A to 18D, consent agenda items, human resources services. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Giles, second by Mrs. Grooms. Any discussion?
Still pretty busy over there in personnel.
With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motions carry 4-0. Next item 19A to 19B, consent agenda items, innovation and technology services. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Moved by Diane Grooms,
Second.
second by Keith Giles. Any discussion?
It wouldn't be right if I didn't ask Rebecca.
I'm always ready for you.
The Gigacom
So that's
Polaris.
software for our cameras that are in school offices. So it's just a renewal of that same contract.
So this will be installed.
It's already installed. We already have cameras in every school office. It's just a renewal of that software.
Oh, okay, because it sounded like it was going to be rolled out district wide, and
So we will be rolling out cameras to middle schools this year, which is a different program. But this is the older program. I think about 4 years ago, we put cameras in every school office, pointing out towards the entrance, just to make sure that we recorded things if we needed to for the police, and keep our staff safe.
So now we'll have them in all of the schools.
So the plan is to put them in all middle schools. At Endeavor, we have about 37 cameras covering the entire school campus, which is really nice. And it records on the campus during the day. Administrators can zoom in to see if there's a problem with a fight or anything on campus. We'll be doing that same project at the other 3 middle schools this year.
And no audio, just video.
No audio.
That hasn't changed.
Not in classrooms, not in bathrooms, those kind of things.
Okay. I had some questions regarding the CDW, but I pinned Brandon down earlier and I got those answered, so we're good. He's very informative. He knew all about it.
Okay. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motions carry 4-0. All right. Next, we have legislative and policy discussion. Any comments or discussion? That brings us to comments from the board and superintendent. Let's start with the birthday girl.
Well, thank you all for the well wishes. I really appreciate it. I feel very blessed to be healthy and safe after the couple of years that we've had. So thank you all very much. The cupcakes were great. The summer school report was fabulous. I won't forget my summer school experiences. They changed my whole outlook on what school was and what it could be. And some of those things that I learned in summer school, I'm still using in terms of approach to something. I was very analytical and lockstep, but in summer school, I learned a lot more about music and art, and it just changed my entire life trajectory. So I'm glad we can offer it to our kids. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for the data, Sam. I appreciate it. And I understand you had to go through some extra steps to make sure you were able to release it. So I do appreciate that. you've trained me on how to use that data to make good decisions up here. And I didn't know that we needed that kind of data to make the good decisions that we do. So I really do appreciate that and your attention to it. So thank you very much. Great to have some new employees rising up from our midst, Courtney and Stephanie. That's just great news that we can have that. And I've come to really understand the school deputy resource deputy. I still don't feel schools need to pay for it, but I recognize the need for them. And so that's a big turnaround for me. Keith has been watching me over the years, but I really have recognized that we do need them. And I'm very glad that we have them on our campuses. And I'll save the rest for others.
Thank you, Diane. Keith?
Okay. Well, thank you. Good meeting. Happy birthday, Diane, one more time. Jane, that was a great program you guys had it for summer. I know when I took summer school, it was at Parkview and I did typing. So it's come full circle because it looks amazing compared to typing. And, they don't even have typewriters anymore. So, hey, money well spent. But no, I sat next to a cute girl, so it wasn't all bad. So, it is what it is. Sam, thanks for the data. I know we need that stuff. Mr. Conti, congratulations, 40 years. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to, I've been on the board a long time, but probably never going to make it 40 years. So thank you for all your insight and support and through all the stuff we've gone through. And I even remember Mr. Conti when he was Zero the hero at Desert View, man. That's probably confidential information, but my kids thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I did too. So there's some stories around here, man. You got to be careful. I mean, when you get Mr. Miller's not here anymore, so I'm going to have to start sharing some of the ones I heard from him. Thanks for all of our congratulations to our new employees. That's cool that they get to move up and carry on and do the good work. Glad the kids all had a good and the staff all had a good opening of the schools start. It looked like it was pretty good to me. My kids were a little confused about they have a new system where they go to school on how to release them at the gate time, and we try to give them direction. The teachers give them different directions. So I actually had to call the principal and say, "What's the story?" Because my kid's crying because she said she can't do what I'm telling her to do, and figured out why. So we worked through it. So, but anyway, and I appreciate our speakers. I don't know if we're getting away from doing the pledge. I know when I used to be on campuses that I'd always hear at a certain time they'd all do the pledge. I don't know if we're not doing that or it's up to the admin, but I'm kind of curious to see how we do that now. Also, that's pretty much it. There was something else. What was it else? I'll probably think of it later, but thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Dwayne?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Rebecca, we're 1,010 above last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, last year at the same time. So that's
Cool.
good. And actually, our numbers continue to go up. So I think that we'll be having our enrollment even go higher next time.
And it looked, I saw a report showed our registrations were still pretty high.
Yeah, there are some students who we roll over from the previous year, and it looks like they're in Power School, but maybe have moved out of the area, or so schools follow up with those kids to find out where they are, or if they just didn't realize school started. And eventually we mark them as a no-show, but we have to do our due diligence first to find those kids.
Great, because I did talk to one of the schools, the principals and the staff, who actually made calls home to say, "Are you coming?
Exactly.
Are you coming?" And their enrollment's at 100%. So those calls and it really made a difference, and it's good to see, and it's good to see 1,010 increase over last year.
And we had, I think, 96% of our kids completed the enrollment before the start of school. So our schools have learned the system. Our parents have learned the system. It's really great because we have their updated information.
Well, it worked, and the kids are the students are coming back, and we love to see them. Believe me. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much for your information, the data. I, like Diane, love that data, especially on the CASP scores. Would like to see how, I think Diane asked for it, each individual grade, if you can see the rise and fall, I'm sorry, no rise. Fall.
Rise.
Just the rise of the in the at the grade level. That would be great. And I'm sure Dr. Marietti would like to see that too. Jane, thank you again for summer school. It was fantastic. That's all I've heard from a lot of parents and a lot of students that went. They really and truly enjoyed it. Lexi, 40 years. You deserve every accolade you got, even from Mike. And he was full of them tonight. Not full of it, Mike. Sorry, full of them. and it's true. Your 40 years here has been instrumental in making this district what it is. And to Diane, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And Mike, 8 plus, 2 down. Gain of 6. Love to see it. That's teacher, substitute teacher. He's got 8 new employees and only 2 that we've lost.
Going in the right direction now.
Going in the right direction. Good. Thank you very much. School deputies, Larry, thanks for all your help in getting Kim to put that together. And we can't do without them. We really can't. We need them at the schools, not only for the camaraderie that they show to the students, but for the enforcement of any activity that's not recommended. And Keith knows what we mean by that. But thank you very much for putting that together.
I remember what I wanted to say. It was regarding the resource deputies. And actually, even back when I went to school, I was at Monte Vista School, which that was a long time ago. And then we had deputies come on campus. And that's one of the reasons I think I liked law enforcement, because they were, hey, you want to sit in the car? Yeah. You want to play with my gun? Yeah. No, well, it wasn't. Yeah, wasn't quite that bad, but it pretty much, hey, you want to use the radio? Yeah. And it was really a cool experience for me. And I think that's one. And then actually, another story was one of Steve Owen, who was actually killed in the line of duty. He was actually a school deputy for a little while. And one time he came in one time we were having a really rough meeting, and guy was threatening the superintendent, and he goes, "Can I shoot him?" And while it was off color, to me it made me laugh. I was like, I think I have that personality. So that's after that I went in the academy. So, but that was back in the day too. But school deputies, of course, I think they're good. But and they're saving money on me, because they pay me 67 cents a year after taxes. So they don't pay me anything. So it's good that some people have to pay them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Likewise, yeah, ditto to everything that's been said. I'm real glad to see we're continuing the deputy program. I know we used to have a program where deputies would go into each classroom and teach the kids about the dangers of gangs and drugs. And that was a great program. So hopefully they can bring that back someday, because I know that really helped a lot of the kids, just hearing that on an ongoing basis and to see the deputies in a positive light. But I know our deputies do a lot, and they're at all the schools, and it's great to see. We're continuing that. Great job with the summer program. It's great to see that the kids are also coming back to school, and parents are excited about that. I'm really excited about the back to school nights we have. So that's fantastic. And getting things all put back together and so forth. Congratulations, Lexi, on amazing years, and keep up the great work. It's awesome. Yeah, and Diane, happy birthday again.
To add a year for each time somebody says it.
Oh, you're up to 45 now.
Also, great board meeting. Interesting comments tonight. I am in favor of the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools, and so definitely want to support that at all our school sites. So hopefully we're doing that and continuing that tradition. And also, too, I know with COVID, some things got kind of put on the back burner. I know one of those was like retention, holding kids back because of the COVID situation. So hopefully we're looking at that, making sure that, we're keeping those standards and we're holding those kids and parents accountable. Also, I know attendance kind of happened too with the SAR boards. So hopefully we can be working on building those SAR boards back up and getting that attendance accountability too. So definitely things we're working on, and it's good to hear the comments from the parents so we can, keep focused on that. I'm looking forward to the survey thing too, because that'll help us keep focused on what's important too. So with that, great board meeting, and Dr. Mariotti.
Thank you. So one more time, happy birthday, Trustee Grooms.
46.
That's the last one. Also, congratulations to Lexi Conti for 40 years. I just want to acknowledge all of our hardworking staff, both at the side level and the district level. The opening for the summer was a wonderful experience, and the opening of schools went so tremendously smooth. It was just amazing to see the kids, the parents on campus, the kids on campus, excited to learn, ready to learn. And so I just want to acknowledge everybody because I'm really happy and proud to be part of Lancaster School District. It's great. It's a great organization. I will say that having taught high school U.S. history and high school government for over a decade, I consider myself a true blue American. And I know that schools are required to either do the Pledge of Allegiance or the Patriotic Act. So I'll be looking into that, and I'll give the board a full report on that. But otherwise, we've got off to a tremendous start, and I'm really excited. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome evening, and I believe there's some cupcakes back there still, so grab some on the way out. And with that, we will adjourn at 8:12. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
By Mr. Nguyen, second by Mrs. Grooms. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Have a great evening, everyone.